A sign of the utmost cultural decay. Payouts of up to $1.2 million for every black resident approved by California Reparations panel. That's right. It'll probably never happen. Maybe it will, but it seems like California is on track to pay reparations of up to $1.2 million. Despite the fact that the cities are falling apart, the state is in a constant state of decay, and people are fleeing like crazy. They're just like, I don't know, let's just give everybody $1.2 million. A state that was never a slave state, people who were never slaves, and people who never owned slaves, all paying this. Why? Well, look, there's more in-depth conversation to be had about why they want to pay reparations, because there were civil rights issues after slavery. It's not like the reparations are only for slavery. If you read into it, it's also about segregation and other unjust policies that existed in this country when California was a state. And we view those things as abhorrent, as bad things. We've got rid of those things. But this isn't solving any problem. This is short-term thinking, because the Democratic Party is all about what can we do to get votes today. That's it. What they do tomorrow is of little consequence, so long as what they do tomorrow results in more votes tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? Instead of thinking about what can we do today that will improve the next 5 years, they say, what action today will get people to just vote for me or will increase my polls? Then when it comes to the next election tomorrow, instead of saying, what can we do to fix that problem we never did, they'll say, what can I do to get votes today? In turn, you end up with feces all over the streets, poverty, crime, and a mass exodus. Here's the story from the Post-Millennial. On Saturday, the California Reparations Task Force voted on the final set of recommendations to send to the state's legislatures, formally recommending that the state pays up to $1.2 million to every qualifying black resident. You know, I got another story I want to show you. I want to show you what's going on in Portland after we wrap up this one, where they're trying to pass this law to allow homeless encampments everywhere. We've got to be cognizant of what policies lead to this and what the Democrats do. And let's read more. But before we do, my friends, we got a sponsor today. Virtual Shield. Head over to surfinginternetsafe.com. If you want to browse the web and be safe and secure as you do so, it's a basic layer of security for you as you browse the web. It's a virtual private network service. It works very simply. Go to surfinginternetsafe.com. You will get 73% off. Download the app. Click go. Easy as pie. Now, when you are online, hackers, corporations, governments will have a much, much harder time, and some even won't even be able to track, sell, or manipulate your data. It's a basic layer of security, and I always say, we don't expect people to break into our houses, but we do lock our doors and window. If you want a basic layer of security, go to surfinginternetsafe.com. Special shout out to Virtual Shield. We have very few sponsors, if any ever, but they've been with us from the beginning, so we are grateful for their support. Again, surfinginternetsafe.com. You'll get 73% off your virtual private network service, and it works on all devices, so special thank you to Virtual Shield. Let's get back to the news and read. During the task force's public meeting in Oakland, the 9-member panel called on the state to give black residents a formal apology, as well as the payments, according to Fox News. California entered the union as a free state, and slavery was never legal under state law. Quote, reparations are not only morally justifiable, but they have the potential to address longstanding racial disparities and inequalities, said Representative Barbara Lee after attending the meeting. Payments received by black residents would be broken down into types of historical discrimination, with black residents affected by bank redlining, for example, receiving $3,366 for each year they lived in California between the years of 1930 to the late 1970s, adding up to $148,009. For those living in California between 1970 and 2020 that were affected by over-policing, oh, this one's funny, we'll get up to $115,000. In total, a black Californian around the age of 71 that has lived in the state for their entire life could receive up to $1.2 million. It is a fact that giving money to people does not solve their problems. I had a conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy, and I said, why is it there are so many wealthy people in the culture war or pretending to be who aren't investing in the culture war to win? I said, certainly not you. It was almost like Vivek was like, excuse me, I'm standing right here. And I'm like, no. We understand that you do have people like Vivek worth, what, $500 million, running for president, starting an anti-ESG, venture capital funding. finance. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. But there are so many people who aren't investing that money into culture war issues. That I just don't understand. On the left, they're just throwing money at whoever they want. But the reason why I bring up the culture war issues is that Vivek said something really smart. He said, it's not money. That's not the issue. It's people. He's right. You could take all the money in the world and you can give it to a random person. They're not going to build a nuclear submarine. And one of the challenges we've had with Timcast is just managerial personnel. Hiring people who are adamant they're the right person and then they're not the right person. It's just not that easy. Not everybody can pull it off. And the reality is in a country like the United States where there is a strong meritocratic system, albeit not perfect because we're going very lefty, people of means and talent and people of no means but have talent and hard work and perseverance should be able to rise above the rest. Simply being rich and saying, all right, this person likes what I like, so here's money, make it work. It doesn't work that way. There's no guarantee the work they will do will result in anything fruitful. And therein lies the big challenge with all of this. Now, that's kind of the point I'm trying to make when it comes to reparations. You give $1.2 million to somebody, there's no guarantee that's going to do anything functional. It may just get burned up instantly. They're going to buy a bunch of stuff. They'll be happy. It'll probably alleviate a bunch of stress and debt and bills. That's cool. I get it. But is it going to create long-standing understanding? No. They say wealth lasts 3 generations in this country. The person who earns the wealth, their child who inherits it, and the grandchild who inherits all of it without learning a single lesson from the grandparent, and then it's gone. It's not absolute. Once you get to a certain level of wealth, you just live off interest and investment. You don't got to do anything. It's kind of crazy. But for the most part, people who don't work for the money and earn it don't know how to maintain that system. And so it falls apart, they say, after 3 generations. You take a look at what's happening in California. Let me give you a glimpse of what's happening in Portland. New images of cities homeless show encampments taking over as fed-up residents wake up to tents on their lawns, drug dealers in every corner, and woke lawmakers pushing to decriminalize the camps. Interestingly, I don't know how it is legal to say you can't sleep on the sidewalk. We are dealing with situations as a result of, I suppose, things we could not predict. There's always been bums, there's always been homeless people, but in small villages and smaller towns, when you didn't have millions of people everywhere, it's not that big of a deal. You can handle 1% of your population being homeless. You live in a town of 1,000 people and you got 10 homeless people? Well, they're wandering around, they're over by the trees and it is a problem, I guess. You got 100 people in your little village, one person's homeless. We can help take care of that person. What happens when you have 1 million people and you're dealing with 10,000 homeless people? And now you're starting to get a problem because 10,000 people, they're going to clutter up specific areas. They're going to crowd around each other. You're probably going to see an increase in crime. It's the same percentage of homeless, but it's harder to manage. Unless we have a proportional amount of people as police officers, but then taxes go nuts. This is what you will get if you allow policies like what the Democrats are enacting. It's sad. I feel bad for these people. It sucks. It's kind of crazy. This is what has become of so many of our great cities. But while all of this is going on, granted, that's Portland, that's not California. California is dealing with the same problems in San Francisco, for instance. This is how they want to spend their money. Give the money to people based on race. That'll solve the problem. It won't. To be fair, California does have one disadvantage in the fact that the weather's nice. So if you're going to be homeless anywhere, you want to be homeless there. That attracts people. But I tell you, when California comes out and says they're going to give money away for free for various social programs, it ain't the weather that's causing people to come to California if they're homeless. It's the free food, the free money, and the free shelter. Not always, but you can get a tent, you can sleep outside, and you don't got to worry about anything. Your bills are taken care of. There was one Northern Californian jurisdiction, a town, I believe, that said if you do receive government assistance, then they have dominion over you. Or something like if you were homeless, they could take your money because you're incapable of taking care of yourself. The only thing I can say is this will get worse, as evidenced by the fact that Democrats don't care about the solutions and literally just want to give away money. If you live in these cities, they will take your money in the form of taxes and they will give it away to someone based on race, and they will not solve for your city's problems. The problems you're experiencing with crime will get worse. They'll defund your police. And, well, what can I say? At this point, if you choose to live there, what can I say? I have people come to me and they say, hey, Tim, there's someone in this town who needs help because some unjust thing happened. And I'm like, dude, sorry, man. After like the 100th request of helping raise money for somebody, I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't come on the show every single day and say, here's another person who was unjustly targeted by the government who needs help. Can't. It would be impossible. The most effective thing to do is just say, get out of these cities. Save yourselves. Because it's only going to get worse. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.